Welcome to Tax Insights, presented by Hawkins Ash CPAs.
Good morning, listeners, and good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Terry.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I can't complain, Jeff. Today on the program, we're talking about the American Opportunity Tax Credit Planning.
We are because, last week we talked about the basics of the American Opportunity Tax Credit. So if you want to hear that show, just go to our website because it's posted over there. But today I want to talk about some important planning points to be able to maximize that credit.
So for those that were not able to listen, let's just do a very quick recap summary of last week's show on the American Opportunity Tax Credit.
Sure. So the credit can be as much as $2,500 per year per student and can be taken for the first 4 years of college depending on your income. Now, it's calculated based off of 100% of the first $2,000 of expenses and 25% of the next $2,000 expenses. So essentially, if you have $4,000 worth of expenses for school, you may qualify for the full $2,500 credit. The expenses, you can use them for tuition, fees, courses, materials such as books and equipment, but not for room and board or other living expenses. Now, I talked a little bit about that income limit, and the income limit for single people is it phases out when your income is $80,000 to $90,000. And if you're married, it starts to phase out at $160,000 and is fully phased out at $180,000.
So what are the ways that families can maximize this credit?
First of all, let's talk about timing. Because it may not make sense to take this credit for the first semester of school. As I mentioned earlier, you can only use it for the first 4 years. So if there's not at least $4,000 of tuition and fees for that first semester, it may make sense to not take it for that semester, but save it for your first full calendar year. Many colleges have tuition per semester that's over the $4,000 amount. But if you're going to a community college or a tech school, it may not.
Right. So I know last week we talked about using college savings clubs, those funds to pay for college. Thoughts here as well?
Yeah, so this is an area where some planning is definitely needed. So you cannot use the same expense for both the reimbursement from a 529 plan and the credit. So you can't use the same expense for both of those.
Okay.
So this means that if you take out funds from your 529 plan to pay all of your tuition, then you're probably not going to be able to take the credit. And the credit is definitely a better bargain.
So is there a workaround for that?
There is. So, I mentioned it briefly last week, but if you want to pay for the first $4,000 of tuitions and fees with non-529 plan money, either savings or a loan, that would be the way to do it. Then you can pay for the rest of your tuition with your 529 plan funds, and this will allow you to maximize the credit. If you say, okay, if I do that, I'm going to have too much money in my 529 plan, what do I do? The plan for that would be is to use it for room and board, because you can reimburse your room and board from your 529 plan, but it's not an eligible expense for the credit that we just talked about. Also, if you think you still might have excess 529 plan money, you can always use those funds for K through 12 tuition or just to transfer those to another person.
Jeff, there is a lot of information here, and I know that at Hawkins Ash, you guys have a team of experts that can really work with individuals and families through all this, because although this is a quick, great information, it can sound overwhelming to do it by yourself.
It is. There's certainly a lot of planning that can be done. And to that point, Terry, we do have a lot of firm experts that do a lot of different things. So starting next week, I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off from the show, and we're going to have some of these firm experts talking about different topics. And next week, they're going to start talking about the research and development credit.
Awesome, Jeff. Thank you for your time. In the meantime, how do listeners connect with the team at Hawkins Ash if they want to learn more or start working on all this information?
I would go right to our website, which is hawkinsashcpas.com.
And we'll talk to Hawkins Ash next week.
This has been Tax Insights, presented by Hawkins Ash CPAs. Learn more online at hawkinsashcpas.com. Hawkins Ash CPAs. part of your business, part of your life.